Hey guys, um, let's see if you can hear me real quick. Let's see if you can hear me. Also, hello, how are you? I'm doing good, and I am very, very, very excited to see this launch today. Can you hear me? Yes, you guys can. Okay, so first, I'm very, very excited. Yeah. Hello. Face reveal. Yes. And of course, voice reveal, but that's all it. First, let's see this Crew-1 for All video from the NASA Johnson YouTube channel. And then after that, we will go to and see the live coverage. This launch will occur 1 hour before, or this will record T-minus 90 minutes, you could say. Yeah, so let's watch this.
I'm Victor Glover, NASA astronaut, Navy commander.
I'm Dr. Shannon Walker, astronaut.
My name is Soichi Noguchi from Japan.
Hi, I'm Colonel Mike Hopkins, United States Air Force and NASA astronaut. I will be the commander on NASA and SpaceX's Crew-1 mission to the International Space Station.
Crew-1 is the designator for the first operational mission of the SpaceX Crew Dragon. So it's a new vehicle.
We are starting the phase where we are flying astronauts. NASA is flying astronauts to the International Space Station on commercial crew vehicles.
We're going to go up and we're going to stay for the full long duration from 6 to 7 months long.
And one thing that's very different about our flight versus Doug and Bob's is we'll have 4 people. How do 4 people live and operate on such a vehicle?
We want to get our Crew Dragon spacecraft to the space station and home safely. Flying the spaceship is one piece. There's also the very important mission of being on the International Space Station.
And of course, once I arrive on the space station, I'll be a board engineer and do lots of science and maintenance and spacewalks, robotics, all kinds of work.
And then at the end of our mission, our stay on ISS, I'll command the vehicle and bring us back home and land. And then at that point, it's all done. Well, actually, it's not all done. Once you get back from the mission, you have a long post-flight period. You know, you go through the day-to-day training, the day-to-day operations to get ready for it.
There's the basic competencies, I guess, flying T-38s, the high-performance jet flying that we do, the NDL training, the diving in the full-pressure suit, the spacesuit to train for spacewalks, robotics training. I'm still taking Russian classes.
The science payloads and also the maintenance tasks and also some of the assembly tasks remain on the space station.
How to handle emergencies on the space station to how you fly the Crew Dragon spacecraft.
We've been going out to SpaceX and working with them from a training standpoint, as well as from a development and verification and testing standpoint.
Also, in many ways, having trained in spacecraft and for space flight, all of training, and it's all about the same. You start off with work and then you move into the practical and spacecraft.
It's a great honor and foremost. And looking at your experience, it makes me uncomfortable. There's so much experience, so many ways that I can learn from them. But at the same time, I want to be and able to contribute.
My kids, my wife said, "You don't go to work anymore. It's like go and just play all day." And that's what it feels like when you come here to JSC and you get to train. It's much more serious than that, right? It has real consequences. But at the same time, you know, I just absolutely love it.
To be able to fly a new almost 2 decades in low Earth orbit is just an amazing accomplishment.
Americans really should be proud of this achievement. But for the rest of the 7.4 billion people, I will open the door for you. This is an international corporation, and all the other people around the world have a chance to ride on this Crew Dragon. So this is a new era.
I think it is just tremendously exciting and fascinating to know that kids are growing up today that have always had people living in space and always had the countries working together for science and engineering objectives.
All for one, Crew-1 for all.
Hello, that is done. So far. Okay, Christopher, please stop. I have seen it, but please stop. I've seen it. Please stop. Thank you. Please retract that message if you can. Ah, no! Uh-oh. Messed something up. Okay, so I cannot hear it.
The rehearsal that was conducted
As we see,
Thursday, so just
1
a couple
hour,
of days ago, they went
27
through this
minutes.
process. It's called the dry dress rehearsal because they do everything except fuel up the rocket and of course launch.
So as we see here,
when they
it
did the
is
checks that day, obviously things were nominal. The first time they closed the side hatch, they noticed a drop in pressure when they did the leak check. So they opened the hatch back up, discovered some foreign object debris or what we
Thank
call
you,
FOD.
Kate Christopher.
Cleared that out. We don't know what exactly it was yet. We might hear about that.
That's
in
it.
briefing. But they
Quick
closed the
question:
hatch back
should
up,
I make
did another leak check? Everything looks
these
nominal, and that's what we just heard
that screen
confirmation of. So that they said that was great news.
the NASA
So
live
it
stream
sounds like we're
module,
getting
or should it
back on track
should
now.
be new module
So it looked
screen
like that closeout
small?
team member just took the final closeout photo there, or one of final, and
so
we are moving
weather
along.
is
If you look
nominal.
closely on the right hand side, you might be able to make
weather
out some signatures there
be
on the wall of
working.
our white room.
Yeah, so weather is good for the storm. Not the storm. I'm so used to talking weather. But space. No weather. Random.
And
Please.
certainly astronauts sitting inside the Crew Dragon capsule right now appreciate the attention to detail of this pad closeout team.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Marie, it's interesting. I think one of the things we definitely appreciate is that
But
the team that works here with us on these spacecraft absolutely believe that the care and feeding of those spacecraft is their responsibility. And we know that. You can tell as they're working with you and hear them outside the hatch and on the radio as well.
Just searching something up.
Now, Kate, can you explain what we're seeing now?
The Crew-1 or
It's a little difficult for
USCV,
me to see on the
which means
screen.
United States Commercial Vehicle 1.
I'm sorry, I can't tell what they're doing.
So it's supposed to launch
It is a
at
little up,
1927,
it's above the
which is
frame
also
of the
meaning
camera
as
view, so you can see.
727
Are there
EST
things they have to
or
remember for
27 UTC.
the seal
The
with
launch
the hatch
provider
can
is
pull back?
SpaceX. The person who is paying it is NASA.
No, there's nothing necessarily attached to
The
the capsule.
Crew Dragon
But I
is
would like to point out
to-
again, we're not only taking into consideration the safety of the crew, but the safety of our team members as well. You can see the straps there. I believe what they're doing is they're basically allowing. So there's
You could say
a mechanism
it's to
there on the
connect
crew
with
access
the
arm.
ISS in orbit
It's
around
kind of like an
400
airplane door.
kilometers.
It doesn't,
Yes,
the
they
metallic
will
pieces don't go
be
anywhere
able
near
to
close to the
find the
airplane.
first
But there's a
stage.
little bit of a
Where will the
a
first
seal
stage
there to
land?
try and control the
535
environment.
kilometers
Again, dealing
downrange
with
on
humidity
the
and rain, bugs
anonymous
here in Florida, trying to keep all
spaceport
of that
drone
up
ship.
and keep the environment
Just read the instructions or
stable and
or J
under
or
control
TI.
there. But yeah, so they are now preparing to
The weather
move all
is
of that
currently for launch.
fixturing away, and they are leaning out over
This will
towards
be
essentially the side of
the
the
full
rocket. So we
CC
have those
cap
wires in place
crew
for fall protection.
commercial crew transportation capability mission. What?
So we should be hearing
What just happened
anytime
there?
now a post
I don't know what happened.
briefing. That's what we're expecting.
Hello. What's
for
streaming?
the crew inside to kind of
Yes, as
a
you can
recap.
see, up they will
Okay, so maybe a couple more minutes
let's,
before we hear that briefing. So
as you can
we're
see
going to
up.
move on temporarily. We've made
Oh
mention
my
of
gosh.
the first crew
Right
to
there.
launch in Crew Dragon a little
StreamYard.
earlier this
Thank you.
year. And you may
And
remember
thank
them
you
as
for
the
400
Space
subscribers. Okay, Christopher, you are correct.
Dads, as they are
StreamYard.
affectionately
Probably
known by
you've
the
heard
NASA
it
and
a lot
SpaceX
of
teams
times.
who work with them. We watched them lift
Hello,
off from this
random
very
random
spot
news and
back in
tech.
May,
I'm
ending a
I am
9-year
streaming
gap
on
in human
StreamYard,
spaceflight from American
and
soil.
thank you for
And we want to honor the courage of
with
NASA
400.
astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley with a look at their historic Demo 2 test flight.
Let's do like this. First operational Crew-Dragon mission. First time a capsule-style spacecraft has flown 4 people ever. The Soyuz spacecraft has only have done 3. This is the first operational mission of a privately developed spacecraft certified for human flight.
SpaceX ComCheck ground stations.
And this is the demo too, so I will be talking during this. The 99th Falcon 9 mission, 102nd successful Falcon flight, 107th mission for SpaceX ever, 5th Crew Dragon mission, 65th land of a booster, 15th landing attempt on Just Read the Instructions, 15th consecutive landing, 21st launch of 2020, tied with 2018 for the most launches, and 27th SpaceX launch from LC-39A, Launchpad 39A. And stats all powered by Tremor Seismic, and also too, I will be putting this link in chat. All links will be in the chat. So let me do that real quick.
MD Houston flight. Houston is go for undocking and departure.
Dragon is committed to undock.
SpaceX Dragon on Dragon to ground. We are ready for the systems brief.
Copy. As stated, Dragon's in a healthy state. We are proceeding toward the primary landing site, and your timeline
That's
is
the link. SpaceX launch America, launch JAXA and NASA. JAXA and NASA launched to the ISS from the
Visual, 2 drones out.
Ooh, okay. So this is the splashdown. Boom. I remember I did a live stream on that. You guys also might
Thanks for flying SpaceX.
might have remembered. And then now they see humans for the first time that isn't up in space.
So it's a humbling
And then now they're
experience
just
to be a
talking.
part of what was accomplished.
It's great to see how excited everybody was. We hope it brings a little bit of brightness to a pretty tough 2020.
Sorry.
Wow.
So that
I don't
was
know about
it.
you guys, but that gives me goosebumps watching that recap.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
My
now
family and I made
what
a
you are
point
seeing
to drive
is
over here
that
to
they're
the East
locking up
Coast
the
to-
door.
to watch launch
And this
just
is
down
from
the
the
road in
NASA
Clipper Beach with our dear
YouTube
friends at
channel. I am not
Huntington,
using the
that's familiar to
SpaceX
the
one,
Kennedy
even though
Space
that
Center
is a
family.
SpaceX launch.
And I'll tell you,
I'm
it was
just
a real
not
joy
going
to
to
watch
be
Bob
using
and Doug
it.
in space,
Um,
and then to have them safely back on the planet with us. And now, special treat, we're going to hear from my dear friends and fellow bugs, aka the Space Dads themselves. Daryl is standing by to talk with them. Daryl.
That's right, Nicole. We have Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley, the Space Dads, with us live from Houston, Texas. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us
Let's
on
see
yet
this.
another historic day here at the Kennedy Space Center.
So hello,
Hey, Daryl.
Bob.
Howdy,
Hello,
Daryl.
Doug.
Good to see you guys. Good to see you. So you know this moment. You remember it, I'm sure, well, when we
Also,
came to
if
this
you guys
moment
have
in
any
time where
questions, make
the
sure
capsule,
to
the door was closed. Tell us what you guys were thinking in this moment as we see astronauts
put it in the
Crew-1
chat of.
astronauts getting ready to fly.
I don't know which way I'm pointing. Let me see real quick.
Well, you're just thinking about the mission ahead, what you need to do to get through the next hour or two, the timeline. I mean, you know, you don't have a lot of
Okay.
time to think about a lot else.
So,
You've kind
this
of
way.
wrapped everything up before you
Okay,
walked
so
down and walked out.
if you
got
guys
to
have
that.
any
So we're
questions,
just
make
going
sure
through
to
the
put
checks
it
with
in the
teams,
chat,
following
which is
along
over
and
that
doing
way.
the things that we need to do.
And yeah,
You just saw that video that was put together about the whole mission that
so
you guys did. Is there
this
anything that,
launch
as you
is
watch
going
that,
to
stands
be
out to you as, you know, that was my
extremely cool.
favorite moment?
Oh, so this is the demo
I
too.
think for both of us, our favorite moment was after splashdown, when we were able to get the hatch open and climb out of the vehicle. As you might imagine, as you embark on a test flight, you've got to have a lot of things go very smoothly, and you got to get them all done and get to the final test point that's out there, which was the splashdown and coming home. And so I think there's a little bit of relief, but kind of a big kind of let our emotions come out. I think at that point, after being really focused.
Yeah, if you guys
on
have any
mission at
questions,
hand all
make
the way
sure
up
to
to
put
that
it in
point.
the chat, which is over
And
there.
Doug, what are your thoughts?
Over there.
Well, I agree with Bob. You know, we
It's one of
invested
these
5
two
years with the
directions.
teams.
I don't know.
We went out
Because
to
my
Hawthorne
camera's
almost every week
inverted
the
and
last 2
then
years that we before we launched, and
it's
so
this way or
you know,
that way.
just a culmination of
But
an incredible amount of
whichever
work
way
by
it
so many
is,
people, and to
chat
be
is
just a
that
small
way
part
for
of it,
me.
and then to
It might be
complete the
that way
mission
for you.
successfully.
I don't
And
know.
have the
But
type of mission that
make
we
sure
had, where we
to
were able to do a whole bunch of
put it
work
in
on
the
board Space
chat,
Station,
and
including 4 spacewalks.
hey,
And
if you
then
guys have any
complete the
questions,
test
I
flight
will
of
answer.
Crew-Dragon and get it ready for this
Excuse
crew.
me.
It's
All
just,
of them.
you know, it's indescribable to be a part of that type of an event, and you know, we're just excited to see what's going to happen. Hopefully here. In
Also,
just
if you do miss it, there will be
Just an hour and
snippets.
16 minutes until launch. And so I
There will
want to
be
know about a conversation that you guys
snippets
had. You had some
of the
important
launch.
conversations with this
Yeah.
crew. What did you
Also,
tell
too,
them? What
look,
advice did you give
it's
them?
a dark outside. Because it gets dark really, really,
Doug and I
really.
got a chance to
Also,
sit down
too,
with the
tomorrow
Crew-1
there will
folks,
be a
just like
video
everybody
on
else is
IOTA.
these days over the across a video conference,
Even though
soon
that
after we
this is a
returned,
thing,
and we tried to give
I
them the benefit of the
am also a
experiences that we had
meteorologist.
had and some suggestions on some things that
But
might
it's
help their mission go a
50-50.
little bit smoother. But I think the biggest
But I'm
message
just gonna
passed
say
on
the
to them
key
was that it
messages
was a good
for
ship
IOTA.
here, and it did a great
One,
job getting us to
IOTA
the
is
space
expected
station
to
and back,
continue to
and they should have
rapidly
confidence in the team as they
intensify
go off
and
and
be an
execute their mission.
extremely
And so
dangerous
there are
category for
things that can be
hurricane
improved
when it
after our
approaches
test
the
flight,
coast of
and they
Central America
took a lot
on
of
Monday.
those minor things to
Potentially
heart, but
catastrophic
overall,
winds
we just really
and
passed
a
on
life-threatening
just a
storm
lot of confidence in the
surge are
vehicle, and
expected
that
along
that goes a
portions
long
of
way
the
for a
coast
team
of
that's got a lot of
northeastern Nicaragua
things to
and
do as they
eastern
lead up to the
Honduras,
mission
where
that they're about to
hurricane warning
launch
is
on
in
today,
effect.
and not a lot
Also,
of time if you look at
K
how
Christopher,
quickly the
if you're
vehicle
watching, you
got
might have
assessed
been able to see
and
my
changes
face
were
if
made
you
in
go
preparation for this
back
mission. It was just
on
a
my channel. You will be able to see my
months ago, I
face.
think, at this
But
point,
two,
since we came home, and we just really wanted to pass our
so
confidence on to
hurricane
them as they got
conditions
ready
are
for their mission.
expected and
And Commander
storm
Hopkins, in fact,
surge
said that he
impacts
appreciated
are possible on
Doug Hurley telling him
Providencia
that
tonight and
when he was
Monday.
commanding the
Tropical
landing,
storm
that he was
conditions
ahead of the
are
spacecraft.
expected and hurricane
Describe
conditions
what
are
that means
possible
and
on
why you think that helped him.
San Andres. 3. With Friday morning, heavy rainfall
it
and
was a little bit drawn on
from
my
IOTA
experience
will
as
likely
a shuttle
lead to
pilot.
life-threatening
My
flash
first
flooding
flight,
and
I
river
just felt
flooding
like I had to
across
work
portions
really
of
hard to
Central
keep up with
America.
the shuttle as we
Flooding
were
and
re-entering.
mudslides in
And,
Honduras
you know,
and
it's a
Nicaragua
little bit of
could
how
be
you operate on orbit, and then the quickness of the events that you deal
exacerbated
with on
by
re-entry.
Hurricane
Everything
Ada's
happens pretty
recent
fast, but just
effects,
mentally
resulting
knowing
in
that that was
significant
coming, I
to
tried to
potentially
enforce that with
catastrophic
Hopper, and just say, hey,
impacts.
look, it's, you know, you're going to be in orbit for a while. Your brain
I will
slows
have
down in a
to
sense, but
go
then
for
when
1
re-entry
second.
occurs,
You guys
those
can
events really
listen to
happen
this,
fast.
but I'll
From the
be
time that you
back
separate
really,
from the
really
trunk
soon.
all the way to splashdown happens, it seems like in an instant. So we talked a lot about that, and I just wanted him to be calibrated and be ahead of Dragon as best he could, and then communicate that obviously to his crew. He's got a great crew, and they'll be ready for it when they come back in next spring.
And in fact, he said that as a result of that statement, that he studied hard because he knew he had to be ahead of it in order for when these events happen to be ready for them as they come. Bob Behnken, Doug Hurley, astronauts with NASA, and the crew of Demo 1. We appreciate you guys. Demo 2, sorry. Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you very much. And enjoy the launch. And now we're going to send it back to the desk.
All right, thank you, Daryl. It is T minus 1 hour and 13 minutes, and we understand John I has been listening in, has some more information to pass along on what's been going on, what information the crew has. So, John I, let's hand it over to you in Hawthorne.
Thank you, Marie. It's, as she said, T minus 1 hour, 13 minutes, 24 seconds. The good news is we are on the timeline. While we were interviewing Bob and Doug, we did hear some discussion with the crew over the SpaceX to Dragon CrewNet. They gave them an update on a couple of issues that we've been working. The one of great interest right now has been the hatch close. They summarized that, as you saw on the monitors, we did reopen the hatch. They found a small piece of FOD, and they also worked on the seal around the hatch. They also did add a little bit of lubricant. They closed the hatch and then reran the 5-minute leak check, and they got a good result. So the crew heard that, and they are supportive, and that issue is now resolved and behind us. The other issue that we've been working that they briefed the crew on is just above the first stage where the propellant tanks and the inner stage meet. You can't see on your monitor there, but there are some weep holes, and what we've seen is some water, I think, from maybe rain that has gotten in there has drained out, and that gave a little bit of discoloration. They wanted to make sure that might not be something else like the RP1 fuel that's on board the rocket. So they've done some review of data. They see no issues with the fuel system, or in this case, it's the grid fin system that's in proximity in that area. They believe it's water. They briefed the crew, and again, that issue is now closed out. So coming up on just inside T minus 1 hour and 12 minutes, we've closed up our couple issues, and as we also heard just a couple minutes ago, the closeout team has left the crew access arm, so we're looking good on schedule. So Jesse, everything in the very busy last 20 minutes or so has come together and closed out. What else has been going on?
That is awesome news, John. Thank you for that very detailed update. We're just 1 hour and 11 minutes from launch, and it just keeps getting more and more exciting, especially with those updates coming in. Since arriving at the spacecraft, the crew were helped by our closeout engineers to get into their seats, attach their suits to special umbilicals that provide breathing air and a communication link to Dragon systems. They conducted leak checks, which were successful, and communications checked with the Corps here in Hawthorne, which is the person who will speak to them directly throughout the mission, as well as the launch director in Florida. This is where they are checking their comm path through both ground stations and tracking and data relay satellites that will use to talk to the crew the entire way to the station.
And after those suit checks, we were looking for the leak check on the hatch. So we closed the hatch, and as John and I explained, there were some pressure changes. And so they reopened the hatch, removed what appears to be a piece of foreign object debris or FOD, reclosed the hatch, conducted those leak checks, and everything has come out well. So the closeout team is departing the pad, and weather operators are kicking off the final check on wind speeds at the pad, and that'll be used for the final go, no-go poll for launch. Before we get to that final go, no-go, the various teams at both NASA and SpaceX will do an internal go poll, making sure conditions are right with the Falcon 9, the Dragon, the crew, the range, and the space station before the final go is given. So let's check back in on Houston for a status on the team supporting the space station on their readiness for launch. Shaniqua?
Thanks, Leah. The team here in Mission Control Houston remains go for launch. All systems on board the station that required to be healthy for mission are continuing to look good. Before the station team is go for launch, they verify that key systems on board the station are functioning as expected. This includes life support systems like oxygen generation, carbon dioxide removal, and the water recycling system that allows us to reuse about 9% of the water.
Oh, you guys couldn't hear me.
We're also ensuring that the computers that allow us to command the station's major subsystems, essentially the station's nervous system, are functioning normally. We also work with our Russian counterparts to ensure both methods of controlling the station's attitude or the direction station is pointing.
You can't hear me here? Yes.
This
Okay.
includes the large U.S. gyroscopes and the thrusters found in the Russian segments. Both systems play a critical role during Dragon stocking. Mission Control Houston will be closely monitoring the crew's flight and checking off milestones for most of the journey. Lead NASA Flight Director of Crew-1, Anthony Varia,
Hello,
will
brother
lead flight
follower.
controllers
You
in
see
Houston
me?
for launch, and they will all be coming back tomorrow for docking.
Yes, it is a face reveal, but if you see my earlier videos, you will be able to see my face first, but now you're not able to. Hello, if you guys have any questions, make sure to put it in the chat, which is one of these two.
You picked a great time as
One
we
of
are
these
now
two
at
directions.
T-minus 8 minutes and 22 seconds until launch. Welcome to coverage for the mission
8?
known as Crew-1, NASA and SpaceX's second flight with crew to the International Space Station.
No, it's 1
Liftoff
hour,
time is
8
still holding
minutes.
for 7:27 p.m. Eastern Time, instantaneous launch window, and we
Hello.
are tracking no issues
Hi.
currently with Falcon 9 or Crew Dragon. The range is green and weather is cooperating so far. The last check, it was 50% go.
So weather
Over the
is
last 3 hours,
50%.
our crew
If you
of
were
Victor
not
Glover,
able to
Mike
hear that,
Hopkins, Shannon Walker, and Soichi Noguchi donned their SpaceX spacesuits
so it's
in the
supposed to be
historic crew quarter suit-up room. They walked out of that crew
so
quarters
it's supposed
building
to be
just as every
50%,
astronaut
which
to
is
fly
the exact
from this
same
spaceport in
that the
Florida has
Crew
done since
Demo
Apollo
2,
7.
if you
They were
might
then
have seen my live
transported to the
stream
pad
from that,
where our
it will
crew
be my
entered
Crew
the
Demo
SpaceX
2
Crew Dragon
where
spacecraft. You
it
see
also
live
a
on your
video
screen
on
atop the
IOTA
Falcon
will
9
occur
Well,
tomorrow,
this is SpaceX's
probably
second time flying
tomorrow
astronauts in
evening,
Crew Dragon. It will also
EST.
be the first time a private company will fly a crew of 4 people to the space station.
So yeah. Well,
if you remember
hello.
back in May, we launched
Yeah,
NASA
if you guys
astronauts
have
Doug
any
Curley and
questions,
Bob
make sure to
Behnken
put it in
to
the
space
chat.
station in the historic Demo 2 mission, and then brought
If
them safely
you're in
home
the
in August.
chat,
Over the next
which
hour,
way
we
am
will
I
conduct a
pointing
series
towards
of
the
holds to
chat?
get ready for
Is it
launch.
this way for
Have
the
the
chat,
crew arm
or
and
this
the
way
launch
for the
escape
chat?
system,
This is one,
and we'll begin
and this
fueling
is two.
Falcon 9. Launch is set for
Please help,
7:27
because I
p.m.
don't know which
Eastern.
way is
This
the
will
chat for
include
you
a
guys. I
12-minute flight
assume
to
that's
orbit,
this way,
and then a 27.5-hour flight
because
to
it's
dock with the
the
International
chat for
Space
me.
Station,
Well, this
set
way.
for Monday at 11 p.m. Eastern.
So
I think it's
Nicole,
this
you know,
way.
we're coming
Yeah.
up on T-minus
I'm gonna
1
say
hour in
this
about
way.
6 minutes. And I know when we were
But
listening to
I'm gonna just point
Daryl
both
talk to
directions
Bob and Doug,
like that.
he talked about
But yeah.
Doug talked about how
So-
you know there's not a lot of time to think about your emotions. You're focused on the operation and your procedures.
So, if you don't know what this launch is, or you're just tuning
trying
in,
to make sure you're as best
this is the
prepared for,
Crew-1
you know, what's about to happen.
launch.
Sure. And today's flight is the first
Let's get
of
some
6 planned
information.
rotational
Crew-1
missions
or
NASA has
USCV
contracted with SpaceX
will
as
mark
part of
the
the
first
agency's
regular
commercial
crew
crew program.
rotation
The
mission that is
success of the
launched
Demo
on
2
top
mission
of
allowed
a
for NASA to
SpaceX
complete
Falcon 9
certification
rocket.
for SpaceX to fly
SpaceX's
astronauts
Crew
regularly
Dragon will
to and
carry
from
4
the
astronauts
ISS,
to the
bringing back
International
this
Space Station
critical
for their
capability of
6-month
launching
stay.
from American
This launch
soil,
will bump
which we
up
haven't had
the
the ability to do
number
regularly
of
since the
crew
retirement of the space shuttle
on
in
the
2011.
ISS to 7,
If you've been
which they do
following
not
along,
have
you've been able to
7
hear that we have been hearing a little bit
sleeping
from crew
quarters,
on
so
board
one will have
Dragon
to go and
Resilience, currently
sleep in the
strapped into
Dragon
their
or the
seats, and they've
Soyuz.
already gone through all of their communication and suit leak checks.
Ah!
Now they are able to follow along with all of the action still ahead.
This one was
on the
1, this one
displays
was
that
2.
are just above them.
Okay, I'm gonna say the
A couple of touchscreen displays, and that allows them to get insight into all of the Dragon and Falcon 9 systems as we proceed down towards
yes,
launch.
this way.
So we're currently at
It's this way.
T-1 hour
Okay,
and
so
5
if you guys
minutes.
have any
Let's
questions,
check in
make sure
with
to
John
put it in the
Inspector for
chat,
another
which is
status
this
update
way.
on both vehicles. How's it going there, John?
So,
1 hour,
this
5 minutes. Closeout team to clear the VDA. Once that's complete, we're going to cycle the tank valves to equalize the manifold pressure. This is the same thing we executed yesterday earlier this week during dry dress.
they will join NASA astronaut Kate Rubins and Ross Cosmos.
We copy that, and Jay, your call's coming in a little bit soft, and we're losing you kind of at the end of them.
Because
Copy all on that
Weather
call.
follower
And I'll
A,
let you know when we're
this
ready for
is
that
kind
tank
of
valve cycle.
a weather scenario. Also, 2, this is US, and my other space station was the Artemis program instead of the ISS program or any of those. The Artemis program is launches to the moon instead of launches to here. So all launches of the of SpaceX were launches from American
Now, as
soil
I've
will
mentioned,
be
we're
going
T-minus
on
1
this
hour and
channel.
4 minutes, counting
That
down.
was a
Good
great
news
question.
is, as you heard a few minutes ago, we've resolved a couple issues we were
But
working earlier in the count.
Cosmonaut
And
Sergei
while the case
Ryzhkov
was busy before, now it's going
and
to begin to
Sergei
pick up again.
Kuzvishkov
Falcon 9
on
is into
November
its
15th,
checkout
just
of first and second
8.5
stage
hours after
propulsion
launch.
systems
That
and
is
engines. It's in
wrong.
preparation
It's
for
supposed to be
propellant loading.
16,
We're
about
gonna hear polls between
27.5
T-47,
hours
T-minus
after
45
launch.
minutes on readiness for propellant loading, and then on
So
to
the
launch.
crew supporting
And then
this
at
mission
T-minus 35
is
minutes,
Commando
propellant loading will
NASA
begin.
astronaut Mike
Now on
Hopkins.
Dragon, we've done our
Pilot is
checkouts.
NASA
Everything is
astronaut
looking
Victor
good. The astronauts are currently inside
Glover.
Dragon. The hatch is
Mission
closed, and the leak check is successfully complete.
specialist. I
The
cannot
SpaceX
speak
folks
today.
have
Is
left
the
the
NASA
access area and I
astronaut
believe are
Shannon
now clear
Walker
of the
and
blast
the
area.
mission
So
specialist
we'll have two major events coming up on
JAXA
Dragon.
astronauts
Between
Richie
T-minus 45 and T-minus 42 minutes, we're going to see that crew access arm currently alongside Dragon. That's going to retract away from the capsule.
Yeah.
And then we'll follow that pretty much immediately by arming of the Dragon launch escape system. That needs to be armed prior to loading propellant onto the Falcon 9. We're launching out of historic pad 39A from the eastern range. The range is green and go to support launch. Not
I am
only here,
just getting
also
my
the worldwide network
chat.
of ground stations and the on-orbit tracking and data relay
there.
satellites are ready to support Dragon as
Turning
it
off
heads to
my
orbit.
volume. Okay.
And the good news, weather continues to be acceptable both at ground level and
Yay,
upper
weather's
altitude.
continue to
SpaceX,
be.
we are cycling the orbit tank isolation valves to equalize pressure.
Heard the call out from core. They're cycling the valves to equalize pressure.
Weather follow. Thank you.
As a reminder,
I just
we have
had that
instantaneous
as
launch window
a
today
kind
at
of
27 minutes,
blocked
17
message
seconds
by
after the
YouTube
hour.
to kind of say
Once
it
we
was
get into propellant
blocked.
loading, there's no opportunity to change the
And then
T0.
I like show. But
Once we
thank
get
you.
into propellant loading, actually right now we're committed.
Yeah,
We
so
can't slow down or
so
add
the
some more
reason
margin
being,
time.
if you guys
2
want
minutes,
to,
we are go for launch.
go for launch. Woo!
Great to
Yay!
hear, John.
That's
Sounds like
amazing.
everything is
Go
going
for
back to
launch.
normal
But
now, is that right?
if you guys didn't hear,
We've
Weather
got an
Follower had
extensive
a
history
great
now of
question.
flying Falcon 9 from the
Why
Pacific
aren't you
coast, and
putting
earlier this
this
year, we
on your
completed a
space
test
channel?
run of the mission
A,
that were
because my
less,
space channel is the
just an
Artemis program.
hour
That is
away
launches to the
from
moon.
beginning
This
with
is now
The
the
purpose of that mission was to
launches.
demonstrate
This
Dragon's
is the launches
capability
to the
safely
ISS.
and
So if I
reliably
change
fly
the
humans
channel to
to
the
and from
ISS,
the
then I will
International
be
Space
having a
Station.
lot
The
more
success of Demo
videos
2
on that.
was a
Also,
truly
there will be
exciting
more and
moment
more
and
videos
paved the
on the
way for
Artemis
today's
program
mission.
channel.
SpaceX valve cycling is complete.
But for now, not really.
And good words from Cord to the crew. But that mission paved the way for where we are today, sending this full crew for a long duration expedition aboard the International Space Station.
Dragon and Falcon 9 together have years of operational experience, or what we refer to as flight heritage. As Leah mentioned earlier, SpaceX has successfully completed 23 flights of Dragon to and from orbit since 2010, including 22 trips to the International Space Station. Not only have we conducted thousands of hours of testing, we've also enhanced and added a number of safety features to Dragon.
Much of what was learned with Cargo Dragon was leveraged in the design of this vehicle. It's fully autonomous, which means it can basically fly itself, but also features full manual override capabilities in case of emergency.
Is also kind of a
Engine and
meaning that
Hurley
the
tested these capabilities during the Demo 2 mission to the station.
Many of the other enhancements
which
help
is also
towards
meaning that
SpaceX's
the
goal of reusability and less refurbishment time between missions. So let's take a closer look at some of these advancements.
Standing at almost 27 feet tall from bottom of the trunk to top of the nose cone, Crew Dragon is composed of two main elements.
SpaceX just
So,
passing T-minus 1 hour. Your
what
go
am
for
I
section
trying to
6
say?
when ready.
So sorry.
Report go for launch.
Dragon copy. Section 6 is in work.
But follow.
T-minus 1 hour, we're getting there. But the capsule that the crew is flying on today is designed to hold crew and pressurized cargo.
You might be
and
able
also
to
has
see
an
that.
unpressurized section known as the trunk.
Oh.
The
No!
nose cone at the top of the
Right
capsule
there.
protects the docking
Yes.
system and
There
also
we go.
the guidance navigation control
Thank you
system,
for the
or what we
follow.
call GNC. The nose cone opens for docking and
Thank
remains
you.
attached to the Crew Dragon spacecraft, unlike the previous
So
version of
this
Dragon,
live
that
stream
helps
will be
towards
going
our
30-40
reusability
minutes
Opposite the nose
afterwards.
cone is the trunk. It
Well,
provides
it will
attachment
be
points for
taking a
Falcon
while
9,
for
the
this
Dragon
storm to
capsule, and
not
cargo.
this storm.
On the
What am I
outside, one
talking
half of the
about?
trunk
I'm
contains a
still
radiator
thinking
that
Riddle.
rejects heat from the
No.
active thermal control system to space
But
using SpaceX's
what I'm
new
trying to
Pico
say is
tiling
that this
technology.
storm
The other half
will
contains
be
solar cells used to charge the
working
spacecraft's
on
batteries.
the
The spacecraft is designed to accommodate up to 7 crew members with modular
will
seats that can
be
be removed and replaced by additional
going
cargo.
40-50 minutes after launch of the storm rocket. So this rocket, yay, we'll go for launch again.
Okay, go for
And
launch. Yeah, we're
the
looking good on
SpaceX
weather, and
Dragon
you can
is
expect
launching
the next
NASA
call to
and
be
JAXA
the C
astronauts,
brief at
which
T-minus
if you
45.
miss, they will NASA astronaut Mike
I am
Hopkins,
very
NASA
excited.
astronaut Victor Glover, NASA
Very
astronaut
exciting.
Shannon
We just got
Walker, and
confirmation
JAXA
the
astronaut
Dragon is go for launch. The
Soichi
next call coming
Noguchi.
up will be from the launch director.
So
So
yeah,
exciting that
well,
we are on target
that
for
is
T0
there.
today.
Thank you once again.
Back to what we were talking about, the
And
seats
yeah.
are made of carbon fiber and will be custom sized for any
So
crew members
there we go.
flying
There
on
is
board.
the
That control panel is
as we can
centered
see,
between
I'm
the
going
pilot
to
and the
bring
commander
mine a
seats.
little
You can
bit
see it a
smaller
little bit here
and
on the right
the
side of your
screen
screen.
larger.
That consists of 3 touchscreen
So
displays, allowing the crew to operate the vehicle and fly it manually.
we are
And
for sure
finally,
go
our
for
Super
launch.
Draco launch
The
escape system is a
weather
key
is
safety feature of Crew
50%
Dragon, giving the crew the ability to
as
safely escape
of
from the time of launch all the way to
November
orbit.
15th. I am going to.
We are now T-minus 57 minutes from launch. This day is the beginning of regular crew flights to the space station from U.S.
Okay.
soil. NASA
It
having
was
certified
the wrong side.
SpaceX for these missions
But
after the successful Demo 2 flight test, which launched in May
so
and splashed down
this
safely in August.
storm is.
Today's mission
Oh
will
my
be Crew
god!
Dragon's second mission with astronauts aboard.
Why do I keep
and
saying
its
storm?
first long-duration mission to the International Space Station.
But this launch is
It's been
supposed
an
to go
awesome
to the
countdown
ISS.
so far. Weather is still
27.5
looking
hours.
good. We just
That's supposed to connect to the ISS.
Thank you.
What did they just say there?
not only is weather
I don't
good,
know
but
what they said there.
sounds like we're proceeding into propellant load. So we're at T-minus 56 minutes and 37 seconds, and we're just getting closer and closer to that T0. So exciting.
Yeah,
as I said
absolutely. We've had a
again,
great
if you guys
countdown
have any
today.
questions,
Of course, a few things we didn't
no,
expect.
if you
but
guys have any
nonetheless,
questions,
everything's
make sure to put it
continuing,
at the
on
chat,
schedule.
which
So
is
starting with
over
suit
there,
up just over
if you
3
guys have
hours
any
ago,
questions.
The SpaceX team helped the
Also,
crew their suits and
if you guys
conduct an
haven't
initial
already,
checkout
I will
before
actually
crew
put this
walkout.
video
Crew
up
walkout was where Victor
right
Glover,
here.
Mike Hopkins, Shannon Walker, and Soichi Noguchi gave final goodbyes with friends and family
Because
gathered
I did
outside
a
the
video
operational
on the
checkout
weather, so
building
let me
before they began that roughly
go and
20-minute
put
ride to
that
pad
on the
39A.
screen. If you guys have
And
not
what a
watched already, if
ride
you
that
have,
was. What you're seeing on your screen is them getting into their vehicles.
if you guys
waving
have,
goodbye.
then
We got some great
here you
footage
go.
of those Teslas
And
heading
if
down
you
the NASA
guys
Causeway
haven't,
before
there
the
you
crew
go. If you
arrived at
guys
the
have,
pad.
here you go.
And once they got to the pad, they took a minute to take in the sights. There you can see on your screen. They took some pictures
also
and then
too,
they headed up into
from
the
all the
fixed service structure
astronauts,
to begin.
we
a
are
process
saying
known
that
as crew
Soichi
ingress, where the astronauts enter the vehicle,
Noguchi
and the
is
SpaceX
definitely
team
the.
performed a series of checks to ensure their suits, the seats, and the vehicle interactions were all functioning properly.
So just saw that, and I will see you. And here's the video that will pop up very, very, very soon. No. And from creating this video in about T-minus 3 hours, we are supposed to have the Crew-1 mission being launched to the ISS. So that is what this video is. This video is supposed to be showing you what is going to occur, how it might be scrubbed, and let's just get right into it. So, they're launching from this little point right here, and it's supposed to launch at 7 o'clock, so let's go to 7:27 because that is the launch time. Oh no! There's some storms over here. We are not launching that direction, we are launching this direction. So it's good. Of course, there might be scattered showers, which is okay because that will probably die down. And 2, about right here is when they go above the clouds, or maybe even right here. So at this region, or at this time, it seems like it's good via the rainfall side. But let's see the lightning. Of course, this will change due to that it's lightning, and it's not really. And it's not really, you could say, the most accurate. Yeah, sorry about that portion. It was just due to, I think I got a notification. So let's actually see the sorry about that. And we do see some inflow, so that might cause an issue, but it's moving very, very, very slowly. But let's see the satellite data. This is from Weather Nords. So clouds do not really matter. In the further distance, it will matter, but as we're saying here, it doesn't really matter at the moment. And if this clouds do not have any lightning or any lightning activity, then real good. And this is a 50-50, exactly the same as a Demo 2 mission. And yeah, also, make sure to stay tuned for my live stream and my portion of this launch. So make sure to go on over and do that. Well, guys, have a great day. Stay safe. Hope that Crew-1 launches, and we'll see you at the live stream. Okay, about to follow. I will. Let me just turn that down because I normally have it this high. So I put it at half. I'll actually turn up my mic. Yeah, I'll turn up my mic and yeah, let me connect. I will be gone for about 10 minutes or 10-15 minutes. So you guys can watch this. And then I will.
They're just models that we can use to model disease and then test therapeutics for safety and efficiency.
So I will be back in about.
Genetically engineered, right? And to see how.
So I will be back in about 10-20 minutes.
You can buy them.
And I'll see you.
Use stem cell technologies to actually create cells from all kinds of different organs and tissues: heart, liver, lungs, skin, brain, bone. Lots and lots of different kinds of tissues can be created from stem cells, and they can be put onto these tissue chips, and then you can model diseases and all sorts on a little chip like this.
Fascinating. We're looking at some video, I believe, of one of these tissue chips being put together. Kind of explain us through what we're seeing.
So what you're seeing there is one of our kidney chips that the Tissue Chips in Space program from the National Institutes of Health and the ISS National Lab has been funding. So this chip here is being seeded here. You're seeing that blue fluid coming through in those little triangles, those little squares are cells that are being placed into the chip. And they're put in there with this pink stuff, this extracellular matrix that keeps them alive and keeps them bubbling away, happily chatting to each other over the course of a few weeks. And so what you're seeing there then with the blue fluid coming through is how we feed those cells during that time that they're up on the space station.
Got to keep them alive.
Exactly. They need all their nutrients. They need all their stuff that keeps them feeling good up there.
So what is the benefit of an experiment like this? What can we glean from this and hopefully in the future?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Daryl. So when astronauts go up to the space station, they have a lot of changes that they see in their bodies that look very similar to certain kinds of disease states or even aging down here on Earth. So when we put cells onto tissue chips and we send them to the space station, we're able to see the same kinds of changes that might happen to the astronauts, but on a very, very short time scale. So, for example, diseases that might take months or years or even decades to actually be a clinical problem down here on space, on Earth, can actually be modeled in space in just a couple of weeks. So we can really accelerate the disease model that some of the Crew-1 folks might be doing some research for us. So thanks
for being with us here from the National Institutes of Health. That was a fascinating experiment, and we hope the astronauts get some good work on it so that you can further develop your research. Really
Wonderful.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Daryl.
All right, very good. And so now we'll toss it back to Hawthorne, California, and John I for the latest at T-minus and 49 minutes and counting.
Thank you, Daryl. T-minus 49 minutes, 7 seconds. Continuing your countdown. Right now, the launch director, the launch team are preparing for the readiness for propellant load and launch pole. The SpaceX launch director has checked with the Dragon mission director and the NASA launch manager. They are ready to proceed. Currently, we're doing an electronic poll of the 7 members of the SpaceX launch team for their go to load propellant and then to press on with launch. Now, the Falcon launch crew is located in Firing Room 4 in the Launch Control Center, adjacent to the historic Vehicle Assembly Building on Kennedy Space Center. Key NASA launch members are also located in the firing room. Now, what we're waiting for right now is we expected about T-minus 47 minutes to hear the results of the poll. While we're waiting to hear that, a couple other status items. The crew is currently on board, and the crew access arm is about to be retracted. You can see the access arm currently in the pre-launch position alongside the Dragon capsule. We'll rotate that out of the way, then we'll arm the launch escape system on Dragon before we go into loading propellant on the Falcon 9. We're launching out of pad 39A, heading northeast out of the eastern range. The range continues to be go for launch. They're monitoring clearance area around the launch pad as well as the air and sea space around the flight corridor. Now, the good news on the weather front, we have been given a new probability of violation of only 20%, or as the optimist would say, 80% chance of good weather. There's a small chance of a shower, but it would have to pop up pretty much right over the pad here at the last minute. They're looking, ground winds are cooperating, upper altitude winds are cooperating. So the weather officer gave us some good news about 10 minutes ago as we got inside of T-minus 1 hour. Now we're coming up on T-minus 47 minutes, and the SpaceX team is finishing up their go, no go polls. We're waiting for a few more people to give the electronic thumbs up so that then the SpaceX launch director can check that item off and then proceed into the remainder of the countdown, which will include propellant loading at T-minus 35 minutes. So let's listen in for a moment to the countdown net.
Dragon SpaceX for ARM timeline.
And go ahead for the ARM timeline.
Yeah, we were just talking here about the tablet and how much time you'll have to put it away. Essentially, as soon as the T-minus 45-minute brief occurs, we're going to begin retracting the arm, and we'd like to be ready to arm the launch escape system immediately, as soon as that's complete.
And Dragon copies, we will go ahead and take care of that now.
Copy all, thank you.
Heard a little bit of dialogue there between Core and the Dragon crew looking at a computer notebook that they're getting ready to put away, letting the crew know what the timeline would be once we finish the go, no go poll and we give the instructions to the launch team at T-minus 45. Then we'll proceed into retract of the access arm. You can see it's currently alongside of Dragon, and then we'll go into arming of the escape system, pardon me, years of previous experience. And then finally, we will get into propellant loading. Right now, they're getting just the last thumbs up. People have been looking at data that we were gathering just outside of T-minus 1 hour as we were doing final checkouts of the Falcon 9 on the propulsion and engine systems before we got into propellant load.
All is complete and the team is ready for crew access arm retract, propellant loading, and launch. For non-urgent no-go conditions, brief the CE or LD and they will approve aborting the launch auto sequence and proceed into launch abort. For urgent issues affecting the safety of the operation, operator shall call hold on the countdown net. Launch control will abort the launch auto sequence immediately and proceed into the launch abort auto sequence. Operators advise launch director whether structural breakup or fire is imminent or occurring per Dragon manual escape flight rules. In the event of a fire alarm at firing 4 today, key operators noted below will remain at their post while the alarm is evaluated. In the event that personnel safety is threatened, evacuate to the south-facing emergency exit, which leads directly south. Launch control, you may proceed with arming the crew arm for movement.
Copy, arming crew arm.
And there you've heard it. Just inside 44 minutes, the SpaceX launch director has announced polls are complete. We're go to head into propellant load. The Dragon team is going to begin retract of the crew access arm. So Kate, with that, everything continuing to look good. We're right on time in the countdown.
Thanks for that, John I.
And it looks like the crew access arm has already begun to retract away. Just a beautiful sight.
So this is one of the last major visual milestones that we have before launch. So the crew access arm now moving away, and we are T-minus 43 minutes and 15 seconds from launch. We're standing by as we wait for completion of the crew access retract. Shortly thereafter, we should hear the call out that the launch escape system is armed. And after that, we will hear that F9 prop loading.
Hello! And now, earlier this evening, we saw NASA astronauts Victor Glover, Mike Hopkins, Shannon Walker.
Okay, so what have you guys been saying?
Noguchi suit up. That was about 3 hours
Hello,
ago.
Lassie News.
They made the drive out to Launch Complex 39A. Ingressed Crew Dragon about 2 hours ago. And
Well, that's cool that you're very close to it.
Closed a second time after and then they had
Wow, you're a couple miles away.
And again, we've just seen the crew access arm retract. And what we heard a few moments ago was that once this process is complete, they are going to go ahead and arm the launch escape system immediately. So we're going to wait to hear
Hello, I am back. Hello, Lassie, and hello, Metal Follower. It was not 20 minutes, but it was kind of a long time. I had to do something. I had to do something. Well, Lassie, that will be pretty cool. I will put, whenever you do post it, I will actually put it from, if you post it while I'm doing the stream, I'll put it in the chat, and also if you do it, then I'll put it in the
talking shuttle speak to the Crew Dragon capsule. So we watched the arm retract away. So now we see Crew Dragon.
Crew arm stow is complete.
And we heard confirmation.
Yeah, in the discussion tab. Hello, K Christopher 5G LTE, the Hurricane Trackle. Hello, other followers. Lassie News.
Okay, tracking copies, moving to section 7.
Cake? Is it okay if I call you Cake Christopher?
Telling crew that they are allowed
Just
to
wondering.
move on.
Well, I am doing good. How's everybody else doing?
Same page in terms of which procedure we are now working toward.
Okay, so Lassie is good and Weather Follower is good.
That is essentially the single voice communicating to the crew inside.
Dragon, visors are closed. We are arming the launch escape system.
Copy.
Weather Follower, because you're British and I have a question.
Mike Hopkins, thank you.
What
Commander Mike Hopkins informed that
do you call
that they are now
a American, how we call it, is a pickup truck? How do you say pickup truck? Because I know American and British English are different. Okay, Cake Christopher, I'll call you that from now on.
Have an abort scenario here on the pad.
But what do you call it? I was just wondering.
Success of that system, having done a pad abort test. test.
So we are now T-minus 40 minutes. If you guys missed it, or if you guys weren't here, it's supposed to launch at 7:27 EST or 27 UTC.
The crew would be able to escape safely in the event of
Is UTC
an anomaly. That's why it is so important that we check the weather all around the world. Really, it's not
27
that
UTC.
we're looking at in order to determine if go or no go.
5.5
that entire escape corridor.
So
right.
This is the first CDT
again, the launch
cap
escape system is
or the commercial crew transportation
the SpaceX teams will
capability mission. The first operational Crew Dragon mission, the first time a capsule style spacecraft has flown 4 people ever. The first operational mission of a privately developed spacecraft certified for human flight. The 99th Falcon 9 mission. 102nd successful Falcon flight, 107th mission for SpaceX ever, 5th Crew Dragon mission, 65th landing of a booster, 15th landing attempt on Just Read the Instructions, 15 consecutive landings, 21st launch of 2020 with SpaceX, and 27th SpaceX launch from the Launch Complex 39A.
The idea is that if that happens, Crew Dragon would splash down off the coast, and then we would have a rescue scenario. And so we've rehearsed that ahead of time. We coordinate very closely, the NASA and SpaceX teams, with the Department of Defense Detachment 3 to prepare for a scenario such as that. We're also prepared for if there were a need for a launch escape after the point of liftoff. At any point from liftoff until they reach orbit, about roughly 12 minutes after liftoff. At any point in that sequence, Crew Dragon could still launch itself off of the Falcon 9 rocket. And in that scenario, Crew Dragon would splash down at some other location further downrange, farther away from
I've heard that
and that's why
for U.S. citizens, we have pickup trucks.
The weather around the pad for liftoff, because they're thinking about
how we call it.
How are we going to rescue the crew if we get into a scenario like that?
Exactly. So it's really complicated, but you know, it is a system that we have spent a lot of time designing and testing, and it's,
I'm gonna mess it up.
To consider
Loyal or something like that.
And so now at T-minus 36 minutes and 20 seconds, in just over a minute.
Is it called like a lorry? I believe.
That
for
Falcon 9
like
is ready
a
for
truck,
loading.
like a semi truck.
That'll be with
but
RP1, which is rocket grade kerosene, and then also
but
simultaneously
I think
oxygen loading.
what I have heard is people in the UK or people in Europe use like pickup trucks.
Liquid oxygen, we'll see plumes of
pickup trucks as like you could say
the liquid oxygen vaporizing.
The pickup trucks for the for work, while Americans just use it for regular old
humid Florida air.
And Nicole, I know we're just about 30 seconds from fueling. But,
so yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Obviously, this launch escape capability is not something that the space shuttle had. So, from an astronaut perspective, what's your take on having the ability to abort from the pad or in flight?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It's what we need to be doing with our spacecraft, and I think anytime you can better ensure the survival of your crew in any situation during launch and on the way to space,
yes,
that's what we need to be doing.
Is this what it is?
Started.
Quick. Don't know why, but I think it's a semi truck. I think that's what you're trying to say. Is it like this thing?
Okay, so we are now at T-minus 34 minutes, 34 seconds and counting.
Is it
fueling of Falcon 9 is underway? The launch escape system is on.
I just want to ask you real quick. Is it this? Is that what you call lorry? Because this is what Americans call semi-trucks. I'm just asking you real quick. But let's go back to space.
And
Also-
in order to fly, Dragon needs fuel and an oxidizer. So for the fuel, we use Kate. You're gonna have to help me with these words.
Bye, Kate.
I can't pronounce them.
Yeah,
This
so it's
full-
monomethylhydrazine or MMH, and nitrogen tetroxide or tetroxide for also known as NTO for the oxidizer. These are two
Also,
propellants, a fuel
if
and
you
an oxidizer.
could-
That when they come into contact, they combust instantaneously. So it's a great propellant to use in spaceflight because you don't need an ignition source. So we use those propellants to maneuver Dragon on orbit, and those propellants super power the Draco engines as well as the 8 Super Draco engines that would be utilized in the launch escape system in an abort scenario.
And again, we want to be crystal clear. Now that fueling for Falcon 9 has started,
Also, that
means
I
the
just
8
posted
Super Draco
with
engines
those
built
things,
into Crew
you might be
Dragon
able
are
to
ready
see, you
if
might
needed
not.
to launch the capsule
I
away
do
from
not
the Falcon
know,
9 rocket in an
depending
instant
on
if
which
there is any
thing
kind
you
of
have.
emergency associated
But
with the rocket or on the pad. Now let's go
could you
over
turn?
to SpaceX
Okay,
headquarters
I turned on my thing.
for an operations
Okay,
update.
now can you hear
John?
me?
Well, we are
Turn it
counting
down
those
even
final
more.
minutes, and everything is still looking good for Falcon 9 and Dragon.
Can you hear me now?
Launch, just under 33
I'm
minutes
actually
from
kind of
now.
screaming.
As you heard, Falcon
Now
9
can you
began
hear me?
propellant loading
Also,
right
too,
on
I
time
do
at
quiet
T-minus
down.
35 minutes. Now the propellants to feed the Merlin
But that
engine
you
power
just
Falcon
saw
9 are
with
fully
all
ignited.
those emojis, that is also kind of meaning
And that fuel is
crew,
a fine form of kerosene,
or the
also referred
Dragon
to as
rocket
RP1.
launch
Now our oxidizer
with
is
the
dense
US
liquid
and
oxygen
Japanese
ultra-propelled rock.
spacecraft. So if you want to like
Densified
copy and
means
paste
it has
that
much
and put
greater
that in the
precipitate
chat,
to launch
that is
vehicles,
what it
and
means.
takes up less volume. This allows for more
Brother
fuel
Follow,
to
can
be
you
loaded
hear
into
me?
the first and second stages. Now to ignite the fuel and
Okay.
oxidizer in the Merlin rocket engine, we use an ignition
I
fluid called
toned
T-Temp.
myself down
When
just
T-Temp comes in
tad.
contact with oxygen, it ignites, and it gives off a green-colored flame. Once we've got the flame
Wait, that
going,
cool that
we
it
then
gives
add
off
the
a green
kerosene
colored
fuel
flame.
into the chamber, and the engine goes to main power. And you might see the green flash just as the second stage engine ignites. Following stage
So
separation, 2
I
minutes,
said,
48
if you guys
seconds
have any
until T-minus
questions,
1.
make sure to put it in the chat over there.
Currently, we're early into
I mean
propellant
over there.
loading. The
Sorry.
first stage fuel tank is about
I'm still
10%
getting used
full.
to having the
That
camera
first
and
stage is the
pointing
bottom
the
2/3
different
of
way
the
and then
vehicle
the
you can see on your
forwards.
screen.
Yeah,
You've got
but
the black carbon fiber landing legs, then the
so
white
yeah.
propellant tanks of the first stage, topped off by that black
Well, it's
cylinder in
supposed
the
to launch
interstage.
at T-minus
Now, liquid
30
oxygen
minutes.
loading is also underway on the first stage. That loading will begin on the second stage, which you can see on your monitor, which is the cylinder, the white cylinder just above that black
Hey, it says if you're looking at your monitor.
liquid oxygen
What if you
loading on
have
stage
like
2
a
begins at T-minus 16.5
laptop or
minutes.
you're watching it on the
We'll continue
TV?
loading liquid
I don't
oxygen on
know.
both stages
Okay,
until the
but
last few minutes of the countdown. Helium loading into pressure vessels is also underway. We use that to pressurize the tanks in flight as the propellant is pulled out by the Merlin turbo pumps.
so this rocket used the Merlin where the Starship uses the. Okay, I'm getting used to what's happening. Okay.
Is going on the vehicle right now. So as I mentioned, the astronauts are listening to this right now. As part of their training in the simulator, we also can give them the playback of sounds that we've recorded in Dragon capsule during recent flights. Plus, they also had a discussion with Bob and Doug after their flight, who related what their flight
That's good.
was like earlier this year.
Good.
Out on the Eastern Range, we continue
Now
to
you're
hear
going
their
to see
green
me
alert
more
yell.
than you
There are
see
no
the
problems,
screen.
and
It's
they
still like I can like.
And finally, the weather, as I mentioned a little while ago, it's actually improved during the day. We're down to 20% probability of violation. The biggest thing we're watching is just in case in these last half hour, if a rain shower might spring up within a mile or two of the launch pad. But currently, the
So as I said, if you guys have any questions, make sure to put it in the chat.
are very light.
Um,
As a reminder, today we have an instantaneous launch time. So at this point, if we hear a hold for any reason, we'll have to stand down and target our backup launch opportunity just under 3 days from now.
And yeah,
Let's
so
turn it over to Jesse and Leah for an overview of events.
yes.
after liftoff.
Okay. I did it correct. Yay! Okay, so you guys can hear me better than the thing, which is good. Whenever it gets down to about 5 minutes, I'm going to turn up the NASA live stream and turn down my mic just a tad so you guys can hear this. 29 minutes till whatever it's called. Until launch. As I said, if you guys have any questions, make sure to put it in the chat.
We wanted to give you an overview of what the ascent portion of the mission will look like.
Once we hit T0 and a successful launch occurs,
Right, there's a lot of space things.
launch pad 39A and make their ascent.
At about 50
Do you have all of that?
Falcon's 9 engines will throttle down to help pass through the period of maximum
Yes, so I'm going to show you this real quick. Let's go to the NASA YouTube channel. I can't. Let's just go to one, and then I will show you the full videos of who the people are, or who. Okay, so we are going to meet Mike Hopkins, which is the Crew-1 commander. What is my favorite kind? Oh, no. My favorite kind of cheese, I believe, I would choose is pepper jack. Yeah, I would say mine's pepper jack. Pepper jack is definitely my favorite, so far. But let's see this.
Sitting on the launch pad is definitely a moment that you're always thinking about, right? That's one of the more critical phases of the flight, as you can imagine. You're very focused in, right? It can be a very emotional time. You're kind of pinching yourself because it's hard to believe that you're finally there.
Born in Lebanon, Missouri, he is an Air Force colonel and a flight test engineer. He was selected as an astronaut in 2009. He spent 166 days on the International Space Station introducing NASA astronaut Mike Hopkins.
You know, it's funny. I mean, a lot of times people think of the dream of being an astronaut as something that a kid would have. And I remember when my wife and I first started dating at the University of Illinois, and I told her that I wanted to be an astronaut. She laughed at me and kind of said, "Are you serious?" But at the same time, she stuck with me throughout the years, and to have that dream come true is pretty amazing. My role on the Crew Dragon itself as part of Crew-1 is the commander of the vehicle. We'll be launching to the International Space Station, and we're going to be doing a long-duration mission, a standard long-duration mission. One of the nice things about being on board the International Space Station is you have a lot of connectivity, believe it or not, with your family. And so I was able to call just about every day. My family means everything to me. It is the most important part of my life. My wife Julie, my son Ryan, my son Lucas, they are just such a huge part of this whole endeavor. You know, without family, it just wouldn't be as meaningful. The partnership that we have right now with SpaceX. It's pretty powerful. They bring a lot to the table. NASA brings a lot to the table. We've got a ton of experience in human spaceflight. When you're out there on a day-to-day basis and you're interacting with their engineers and you're interacting with their trainers and you're interacting with the people that are actually building the rockets and building the capsule itself, you really get to establish the relationships, the personal relationships. It's not just about the astronauts that are on board, but it's about the entire team at NASA and SpaceX that it's taken to launch this Crew-1 vehicle, and we couldn't do our job without them.
Okay. Yep. Go to Shannon Walker. So now we are learning about Shannon Walker.
I always wanted to be an astronaut. I just turned 4 when we first landed on the moon, and I have very distinct memory of my parents taking me and my older sister out into the backyard, and the moon was rising over our house, and they pointed up there and said, "We have people there." And even at 4, I thought that just sounded like the best idea ever.
We have been given the scientific knowledge, the technical ability, and the materials to pursue the exploration of the universe. To ignore these great resources would be a corruption of a God-given ability.
I had seen a new class of astronauts that had been hired for the space shuttle, and I was reading in the newspaper what their qualifications were, and just going through some of them, I realized I can do that, and that was a big turning point. I'm Dr. Shannon Walker, NASA astronaut, and I am getting ready to fly on the Crew-1 mission to the International Space Station. Crew-1 is the first operational mission of the Crew Dragon vehicle to the International Space Station. I was not expecting the call to be assigned, and so anytime you get a flight assignment, it's tremendously exciting. I spent 6 months on the station previously in 2010, and I am so looking forward to getting back there and having another 6 months on the space station. There are so many things that you could do on station. What I like about it is every day really is different. You get up and you may be doing a biological experiment one day, you may be doing maintenance on equipment the next day, and then the day following that, you'll be doing some sort of experiment in chemistry. What I have found being part of the International Space Station program, and not just Russia, but our colleagues in Japan and Europe and Canada, is that underneath it all, we all have the same goals and we all have the same passions. The Dragon spacecraft represents to me is just a continuing evolution of better computing power that's evolved over the years and different ways that the crew can interact with the spacecraft. SpaceX is a very interesting company. There are so many young people. I always imagine it to be like it was in the early Apollo days at NASA, with so many young engineers so passionate about what they are doing. The important thing is we both have learned from each other, and now we've got a very strong bond on what we want to accomplish and how we need to accomplish it together. I do believe that human spaceflight is an imperative for our planet, and to be a part of that, to keep the progress going, I find very inspiring.
Path from the ground up through the constellation of communication satellites to the station.
Okay, now we are going to meet Shuichi Noguchi.
Shuichi appears to be a very quiet person, and yet he comes out with some fantastic one-liners.
Shuichi is probably the quietest, but he is probably the funniest as well.
earlier, I used the word dignified to describe him, but his humor is very dry and subtle, but it is extremely witty, and it just makes it that much more funny.
Konnichiwa. My name is Soichi Noguchi. I am Mission Specialist 1 on Crew-1 mission to International Space Station. Well, my mission will be help support the commander and the pilot on Crew Dragon. And of course, once I arrive on the space station, I'll be a board engineer and of science and maintenance and spacewalks, robotics, all kinds of work. I'm really fortunate enough to have a good crew member. And obviously, we have a lot of different background, and the diversity definitely gives us a great rigidity to our crew. I wanted to be an astronaut for a long time. High school days, I watched the shuttle launch. I studied aerodynamics and and sent immediately to Johnson Space Center. My first flight was 2005. I was on the space shuttle Discovery, STS-114, and the next flight was 2009. I was on the Russian Soyuz. The vehicle is definitely like living creature. All the pipes, all the pipelines are alive. I really remember the morning of the launch day. I arrived at the pad. Hey, this vehicle is alive and waiting to go out.
And liftoff of Space Shuttle Discovery, beginning America's new journey to the moon, Mars, and beyond.
I'm really looking forward to go back to that launch day. The Crew-1 is the first operational spaceflight after the certification given by NASA. Important thing is this is brand new, designed from scratch, 21st century spacecraft, and this is a new design. And obviously, the SpaceX did a very nice job. The spacecraft of this century is not just for America, but this is an international corporation, and all the other people around the world have a chance to ride on this Crew Dragon. So this is a new era.
Hello, now we are going to see Victor Glover.
I saw a shuttle launch when I was in elementary school, and I thought I really want to fly that. And that's where it began.
He is a Navy commander, a naval aviator, and a test pilot. He was selected as an astronaut in 2013. This is his first space flight, introducing NASA astronaut Victor Glover.
First and foremost, I'm just grateful to God and to my family. To work and live in space is just a humbling and amazing blessing in and of itself. This is a test pilot's dream.
Flying has been such an important part of my professional life, and I love to do it. 64,000 feet. That's the highest up I've ever been above the ground. And so to get to a point beyond that, that'll be a little special moment. I'm a rookie astronaut. I'm the pilot and going to be learning the ropes from a very experienced crew. Trying to balance that, enjoying and living in the moment, but also managing the responsibilities to make sure that we get to space safely. I'm looking forward to that juxtaposition of emotion, I think.
Tell me about how you ended up here. I think for every astronaut, that's kind of a different story.
Ooh, wow, that goes way back. So high school athlete, loved being a part of a small high-performing team, wrestling and football. Was fortunate to wrestle in college while pursuing my engineering education. I actually originally wanted to be a Navy SEAL. That's what started my journey in the Navy, and I wound up deciding to go into aviation and learn to fly. The love of flying and being a part of a small, very specialized, high-performing team that gets to do things in really interesting and challenging environments. The astronaut corps is the epitome of that.
This is truly an exciting time for human spaceflight in our nation. And believe me, it's only going to get better as we charge off into the future.
We've been working with our partner SpaceX for years. It's just been amazing to learn about the vehicle and to just spend time getting to know their flight control team and their trainers. It's creating sort of a new culture that is some kind of a balance between the two. The fact that it takes thousands of people all over the world to get us ready, it's humbling and overwhelming, and I want to do my best because I represent them. So thank you for your support and for your love, and know that you're flying with us on Crew-1.
Hello. I am back. Hello. One second. Boom. T-minus 14 minutes. T-minus 12 minutes.
We'll hear continued call-outs on the countdown net as we get close to 0 and to liftoff. But right now, 12 and a half minutes to go. Everything looking good. Leah and I will be commenting, but we're going to let you listen into a lot of the discussion and just enjoy the last 12 minutes of the countdown as we head for liftoff again. 27 minutes, 17 seconds after the...
Yay. That's amazing.
John. It's so exciting. Only 12 minutes, 13 seconds
Woo!
until liftoff now.
Eek.
Just some things
Scary.
that you can look for, especially upon ascent. You'll be hearing some performance calls as we get into the final countdown and then after liftoff. These are SpaceX flight controllers. They're reporting the trajectory, the speed, the booster performance, and some of the key milestones for Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon on the way uphill. It's about a 9-minute ride to orbit, and a few minutes after that is when we'll see Crew Dragon separate from the second stage and begin flying free on its own. Some of those other calls you'll hear upon liftoff.
Hello. 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 Hello.
The first two are 1A and 1B. This signifies they're in the first stage, and that will last until they're up to the very north of North Carolina. The next are 2A through 2E or 2 Echo. Those will come into play once the second stage kicks in. That lasts from the top of North Carolina all the way to the tip of Newfoundland in the northern Atlantic. There's also a spot we want to avoid in the northern Atlantic. So you might hear the call Shannon or forward to Shannon. Of course, that's not to be confused with our crew member, Shannon Walker, today, but that actually refers to Shannon, Ireland. It means they would target off the coast of Ireland if they were later in that second stage and needed to abort. Next call out we're listening for
Let me turn up my mic real quick.
10 minutes that the crew displays those 3 panels in front.
Oh my gosh, T-minus 10 minutes. I'll see you in a bit. One sec.
Now just 10 minutes and 35 seconds to go until liftoff. Also, as John and I mentioned, that stage 2 fuel load is complete. Stage 1 is at about 90%. Liquid oxygen load on the second stage is about 40%, and on the first stage, about 85%.
Dragon SpaceX confirmed crew displays are configured for launch.
And SpaceX, this is Dragon. Displays are configured for launch.
Copy, Resilience. We're honored to have you as our crew as we begin operational missions to the ISS. Have an amazing trip and know that we are all for one.
Thanks, Jay. And to all the people at NASA and SpaceX, by working together through these difficult times, you've inspired the nation, the world, And in those small parts, the name of this incredible vehicle, resilience. And now it's time for us to do our part, Crew-1 for all.
Copy all. Thanks, Hopper.
That was the voice of Commander Mike Hopkins confirming those crew displays are configured. And that T-minus 10 minutes was another check for the Falcon 9 launch commit criteria. It was checked by some computers. It was the last check of a wide variety of the Falcon system data to make sure we are go. From here on, we continue to count down until T-minus 7 minutes when the pre-valves open.
T-minus 8 minutes, 30 seconds and counting. As Liam mentioned, the next major event at T-minus 7 minutes, we will open the pre-valves. Currently, the Merlin engines on the first stage are isolated by valves that are between the propellant tanks and with the Merlin engines. We'll open the pre-valves. That'll allow us to begin passing a small amount of liquid oxygen through the inlet of the turbo pumps. That'll chill them down to get them ready for when we bring the pumps up to full speed at T-minus 2 seconds. We want to make sure that the pumps are chilled so that there's not any opportunity for the liquid oxygen to possibly get in contact with a warm pump and turn into gas, something you want to avoid on a turbo pump.
7 minutes and 40 seconds now to lift off. We're still watching those fuel levels tick up, and in the first stage, we're almost at 100% of that densified kerosene. As we mentioned, second stage is full. First stage fueling should be complete for that RP1 at about T-minus 6 minutes.
Standing by for pre-valve opening.
Stage 1 engine chill has started.
And there's the call out. Stage 1 engine chill has started. Indicates that we are opening the pre-valves. Liquid oxygen now beginning to flow slowly through the turbo pumps on the Merlin 1D first stage engines.
Next call out should be in about 30 seconds from now. We'll be looking for stage 1 RP load complete. That's the densified kerosene, that fuel on the first stage, already full on the second stage, and we'll still be loading liquid oxygen up until about 2 minutes prior to liftoff on the second stage. Standing by for that fuel call.
Guys, the launch. T-minus 6 minutes.
Right on time. And a great view of Dragon sitting on top of the Falcon 9 as we're continuing to load liquid oxygen onto both the first and second stages. The RP1 kerosene fuel
Does
is now
the
completely
SpaceX
loaded on
live
both
stream
stage 1 and
like
stage 2.
it's all
All
different?
continues to go well, just under 6 minutes to launch.
In about 30 seconds, we'll enter terminal count, and Dragon's onboard
Hello?
computers will take control of the vehicle.
Wait, I just want to see.
Both fuel on first and second stage is complete.
Hello?
Liquid oxygen
Can you hear me?
loading
Okay.
continues with
Yes,
the
you
second
can.
stage at about
Okay.
80%.
Good. Hello?
First stage at 95%. Something else you might notice is water rushing the pad shortly before liftoff. That's to suppress the sound and keep any sound from imparting a load on Crew Dragon as it prepares to lift off.
Dragon is in configure for terminal count. Dragon is on internal power. Falcon and propellant tanks are pressurizing for strongback retract.
Good confirmation that Dragon is on internal power, and now we'll be looking for a major milestone before we launch today. That'll be the strongback retract. John, you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Leah, if we get a close-up of the Dragon at second stage,
Strongback is retracting.
We've heard the call out, strung back retracting. That's a two-step sequence. First, there are clamp arms around the very top of the second stage. You can see one of them just above the gaseous oxygen vapors coming out of the second stage. Those arms will open up, and then just inside of T-minus 4 minutes, once the arms are released, we'll begin to retract the strung back alongside the vehicle. It'll move back 2
Hello.
degrees in
It is
position,
so
and by about
close.
3.5 minutes, we
So
ought to be
close.
finished with that. The strung back will retract to 45 degrees away from the rocket once we hit T0 as part of the liftoff sequence.
And at T-minus 3 minutes, we will
Right
look.
now, we're waiting for the retract. And there you can see the strung back is beginning to move away from the vehicle.
If I was one of the crew members, I would be scared. But we are so close, so close, so close. We have T-minus.
Looks like we are just about into
3
the
minutes.
pre-launch position,
T-minus 3
just a couple
minutes.
degrees away from the Falcon 9 and the Dragon capsule. But right now, T-minus 3 minutes, 8 seconds. Everything continues to be go on Dragon and Falcon 9.
Currently standing.
Dragon is in terminal count.
And Dragon is in terminal count, and we are standing by to hear that stage 1 liquid oxygen loading is complete. Stage 2
Stage 1 LOX load is complete.
And there we have it. And stage 2 should finish shortly after, at about 2 minutes prior to liftoff.
So now the last major event is finished liquid oxygen loading on stage 2. Wraps up at about
Guys,
2 minutes.
we are.
Then at about T-minus a minute and a half, we have to drain back and vent down the liquid line that goes up the strung back
So
alongside
close.
the Falcon 9. If you see a large white cloud about midway down around the rocket, that's normal.
To launch.
That's again just the gaseous oxygen
So,
hitting the warm
so
Florida air.
close. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 1 minute 50 seconds.
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
I would be scared to be them. I'd rather be in the back and not in the front. I won't be him, I'll be them. Well, you can't see. I won't be the person that's closer to us, I'll be the people that are on the side.
First and second stages that densified kerosene and were full of the oxidizer. Liquid oxygen.
What if they put the capsule at the bottom of the rocket?
Now just a minute and 20 seconds until
And then like,
liftoff today.
and like,
And as you can hear those sounds,
how'd that
like
even
Sage
work?
She said the vehicle is alive. Coming up in 10 seconds.
Hey, definitely,
the
look.
Dragon is in countdown.
T-minus 1 minute.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
This is stressful times.
Dragon is countdown. FDS is armed. Falcon 9 is in startup and is now controlling.
50 seconds now until liftoff.
This is so stressful because you don't know what could happen. It might be like the...
SpaceX, this is Resilience. Roger, go.
Go for launch, and at 37 seconds, the International Space Station flying over
The
Kennedy.
Challenger.
Crew-1 for all.
That
Crew
was...
Dragon poised to go catch it.
That's extremely sad. 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 14, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift off! Lift off! Ignition! Lift off! Woo! Yay! Go NASA! Go JAXA! Go NASA! Go JAXA! Go SpaceX! Godspeed.
That's the word we want to hear.
Godspeed all astronauts that are on this mission. Go NASA! Go JAXA! And go SpaceX.
Dragon and Falcon 9.
Woo!
Stage 1 is preparing to throttle down.
If I go on any rocket, I'd rather go on this one than the Blue Origin. Or on the space shuttle.
Call out for throttle down.
Power and telemetry continue to be nominal for the vehicle, now traveling at 262 meters per second.
Let's go!
Falcon 9 is supersonic.
I call out the Falcon 9 is supersonic, and we will be passing through Max Q here shortly, the largest structural load.
Mach
during
1.
descent.
Max Q.
There's that call out. That Falcon has passed through Max Q.
Max Q is kind of like the most G's that you have on your body, which is also kind of meaning how many times your body weight is on your body. And I believe it is about 7.
T plus 1 minute and 40 seconds into flight. Dragon and Falcon 9 traveling 709 meters per second. That call that MVAC chill is underway, the Merlin vacuum engine.
Sadly, from where I am located, I will not be able to see this launch.
Similar to what we saw in the first stage Merlin engines, the second stage.
Let's go launch.
Ignition coming up in just over 30 seconds.
Launch.
We're a half a minute away from 3 quick events in rapid succession. We're going to get main engine cut off. The 9 Merlin engines will throttle down and then shut down. We're going to get stage separation.
Stage 1 throttle down.
And then ignition of the second stage engine. We've begun the throttle down in preparation for
This is
stage
Crew-1,
separation.
also known or Expedition 64, I believe. 65. It's 64, 65.
And we have 2 Alpha. Stage separation confirmed.
And you see that stage separation has confirmed. There goes that MVAC engine. Stage 2. Crew-1 is now on their way to the International Space Station. On the right side of your screen, you see stage 2 continuing.
You were able to hear me the entire time.
Is stage 1 preparing for its return to Earth.
Go, go, go. Godspeed,
Currently
all
on the left
JAXA
side,
and
you
NASA
can't make out
astronauts.
much. It's a couple
Go
hours after
SpaceX,
sunset
go
in
NASA,
Florida.
launch
But
America.
the grid fins
Well,
have deployed
launch
on the first
America
stage.
and
First stage is now
Japan.
unpowered, but with the velocity it
But
had,
woo!
it continues to coast up to an apogee before it begins to descend back into Earth's atmosphere. Now, as we watch, maybe we'll see the lights of Florida or the eastern seaboard in the background, but otherwise, there's not going to be much to see.
Sally.
On the right-hand side,
Dragon, SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
you can hear the call out. Trajectory is nominal.
Nominal trajectory.
And we heard the call out Bermuda. That means Bermuda ground station has the signals from the second stage of the Dragon and Falcon 9.
Woo! It launched. T plus
We're still
4
continuing
minutes.
as stage 2
It has a
burns to
launch.
listen
Woo!
for those abort zones. We are now in 2A through 2E to Echo.
8.
Taking us up over the northern Atlantic.
8,400
Right now you
kilometers.
can see the second stage engine glowing with the standard red.
Which is
that
5,000 miles
come
per hour and
see
needs
over
to
all
reach
these
up
missions.
to
Indicates everything's looking good.
27,000
Power on the MVAC engine
miles
continues
per
to run at
hour.
220,000 pounds of thrust in the vacuum of outer space.
Dragon, SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
This is the
And trajectory nominal.
Nominal trajectory.
And we hear the reply from the crew acknowledging we have a nominal trajectory. Dragon made it to the Falcon 9 second stage, heading into
Let's
the low Earth
go.
orbit, where Dragon will then separate and begin its trip the rest of the way to the space station.
If
We'll
you
be
guys have
looking
any
for
questions, make sure
Seco,
to
second
put it
stage
in the
engine power
chat
coming
of
up at 8
video.
minutes and
Not
48
this week,
seconds
of video.
after launch today. So about 3.5 minutes from now, Dragon and Falcon 9, second stage, currently flying 2,979 meters per second.
Currently, the first stage has begun its descent. It is through apogee. It's beginning to come back down where it, coming up in another couple of minutes, we will have the entry burn where we begin to slow down the first stage.
SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Okay, good. Metric conversion.
Nominal trajectory.
Another call out, another nominal trajectory. Just
That voice you're hearing on board Dragon, that's Commander Mike Hopkins for our 4-person crew as they continue their journey now 6 minutes and 12 seconds after liftoff. Trajectory still nominal.
Boom, boom, boom.
And Leah, you can see on the indicator altitude 201 kilometers. We're now beginning to essentially level out and pick up velocity to get us into low Earth orbit. We're a little under 1 minute from the ignition for the entry burn on first stage.
And we're about 2 minutes away.
Dragon, SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Copy. Nominal trajectory.
Great news. Now 7 minutes after launch, second stage engine continues to burn. Everything looking good.
Okay.
And we'll see that continue to burn.
It is
for
kind of
another
blurry
1
for you
minute
guys.
And about
Sorry
38
about
seconds.
that.
Right now it's stage 2.
Yeah, it's really blurry
Crew's
for
getting
y'all.
about, a little more than 2.5
why.
G's of acceleration.
2.5 G's.
First stage preparing to ignite for the entry burn.
FTS saved.
Let's say that you're about 160 pounds times 2.5. That'd be 400 pounds.
And we've got
of
ignition of
pressure
the entry
on your
burn, center engine,
on your
followed by the
body.
other 2 restart engines. First stage now getting ready to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. This is about a 29-second burn, and it's designed to slow the vehicle way down. We're going to shed about 70% of the velocity of that dropping first stage by the time this landing burn completes.
Okay, alarm.
I should say by the time the entry burn completes, which is now over. First stage on target for the drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. Meanwhile, we're watching second stage getting close to getting into orbit.
That's right. We've got about
Go,
30
go.
seconds.
We got this.
Now just about 20 seconds more of stage 2 continuing to burn until we see second stage engine cut off, or SECO. We'll coast for a few minutes afterward to allow the rates in motion to...
Roger, Shannon.
There's that call for Shannon. That's Shannon, Ireland, an abort zone, but it looks like we continue smoothly to orbit today.
And we've got shutdown of the second stage engine on time.
Dragon, SpaceX, nominal orbit insertion.
They seem serious.
Launch escape system is
Where's Elon Musk?
And Leah, the words we like to hear, a nominal orbit insertion.
Wait.
That's
We're
right,
going to
John.
see a
Nominal
man.
orbit insertion, as we mentioned, stage 2. Oh, looks like some action on stage 1. And I believe we've had a touchdown on the drone ship.
We've got stage 1 has touched down on the drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. But now the more important news, second stage is in orbit, right where we want, right on time. And we're getting ready for our next major activity, which will be Dragon spacecraft separation.
Spacecraft separation.
Now, currently on the second stage, we are essentially venting pressure, purging the engine out, making sure everything is quiet in preparation.
When will that happen?
Take a look. That's inside Crew Dragon right now. Our Crew-1 crew we should see that stage separate and Crew Dragon will be flying free.
The mission timer shows 90 seconds to Dragon separation.
90 seconds of Dragon separation? Why is everything just... No! No, 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 no! No! Dude, NASA, NASA. Hey, NASA! No!
Lift off today, waiting on that second stage separation. But as you can see, our astronauts from left to right, Shannon Walker, Victor Glover, Mike Hopkins, and Soichi Noguchi, now on their way to the International Space Station. First trip to space for Victor Glover.
Acquisition of signal, Newfoundland.
Newfoundland?
And that call out, acquisition of signal in Newfoundland. That means the Newfoundland ground station is now receiving telemetry from Dragon.
That's cool that we could actually see it without it glitching out, which
Teams
has
continuing to
happened
monitor
a
the
lot
vehicle,
of
now traveling at almost
times.
27,000 kilometers an hour.
By the way, I hope that you guys have a
10
great
seconds to
day
Dragon
today.
separation.
I will be leaving whenever it separates, which I believe it happened now. But don't know. It's 2020. Yes!
And separation confirmed. You can see that second stage departing. Crew Dragon leaving it behind.
Separation confirmed.
Well, I think I have to run
Now
a video.
12
Make
minutes,
sure to leave
25
a
seconds
like
into
and
today's
subscribe. Also
flight.
hit
Our
that
next thing we'll be
notification bell
looking
so
for is
you get
nose cone
notified whenever
deploy. Our
I
hooks will
create
start to
another
open
video
on the nose
for
cone and
whenever
reveal
it
those
connects
forward thrusters underneath.
to the ISS.